You're watching Home TV, Channel 6.
President Clinton promises still more spending cuts and prepares for a rugged fight over health care reform. In Europe, more talk, no action on possible airstrikes against the Serbs in Bosnia, while a 5-year-old victim of the fighting battles and wins against the war's bureaucracy. And Eye on America. Tonight, go on strike and lose your job. We'll investigate a national controversy that has both sides seeing red.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. Connie's on assignment in the Carolinas. Well, if you're keeping track, President Clinton is now into his third 100 days, and now with the budget victory under his belt, he's plunging ahead to new battles over more spending cuts, over reform of the American healthcare system, and Serbian aggression in Bosnia. Our coverage begins tonight with White House correspondent Bill Plant.
The budget vote may have been a brush with disaster, but President Clinton was celebrating victory at a hastily organized campaign rally, still selling hard to convince doubters that his program is more gain than pain.
There are $255 billion in specific spending cuts. No rhetoric, no hot air, no plugs, no we'll take about it later, specific cuts.
Yes, but there are new taxes, too, and deficits that will add another $1 trillion to the national debt over the next 5 years. And there's likely to be some short-term pain as well.
Generally, if you have a tax increase and cuts in programs, in other words, cuts in money going to the economy, you lose jobs. I think this program will probably, in the short term, lose jobs.
And Mr. Clinton has promised still more additional spending cuts, even as he moves on to his next priority, health care reform. First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton says the health care package coming next month is essential to hold down spending.
Until all Americans are insured for health care, we can never control costs.
But there's no way Mr. Clinton can get health care, a free trade agreement, or a crime bill through Congress like he did the budget with only Democratic votes.
To get health care passed, and absolutely on NAFTA, he needs enormous Republican support. So the reaching out to Republicans will be, I think, a part of his strategy.
And today, Mr. Clinton made his pitch.
All of these things must be done in a different way, and we need bipartisan support. We need to put an end to the partisan rancor and put the American people first again.
Getting that support won't be easy, and it's likely to cost. After Mr. Clinton's painfully narrow victory on the budget, there are members of Congress from both parties who think that he can be pushed around. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
President Clinton and U.S. allies at least made it appear today that they may have moved a little closer to possibly bombing Serbian army positions in Bosnia sometime. This happened as the Serbs were saying that they were taking a step backward, a small strategic move, momentarily easing a little their siege around Sarajevo. French soldiers working for the UN began trying to clear mines from one mountain overlooking Sarajevo today, as Serbia's army said it was pulling back, or soon would be, from 2 of its many strategic positions around the bombed-out capital city. The Serbs seek to at least give the impression that they are making good, in small part, on a pledge given by their commander, General Ratko Mladic. It's all time to defuse a new threat of U.S.-led airstrikes. In Brussels today, the U.S. and its NATO allies agreed on a plan to bomb Serbian targets unless the Serbs stop savaging Sarajevo. These targets would be across Bosnia, none in Serbia itself. A senior Clinton advisor told CBS News the goal is to end the war before winter and leave Sarajevo in the hands of the Muslim-led Bosnian government. But the agreement is no bombing until NATO gives final approval and then gets a green light from the UN.
I hope that there will be agreement on that concept, and then warnings, I expect, would be issued to all of the parties, and then we'll go from there.
In Geneva, talks are scheduled to resume between the Bosnian Serbs, Croats, and Muslims, basically seeking surrender from the Muslims. The Serb army's talk of even a very limited pullback has increased pressure tremendously on the Bosnian government to return to the talks and settle for a few scraps of what was its territory. President Clinton favors such a surrender, even though some in his own party say it would be a cave-in to genocide.
Virtually all the political leadership of the West is collaborating in the guise of peaceful settlement in a policy that will mean the extinction of a sovereign UN-recognized state and no doubt the ongoing, if somewhat slow, genocide of its people.
To understand the war, you need to know that the Muslims are not just fighting against local Croats and Serbs, but two outside armies as well. Regular troops from the Army of Croatia have joined up with local Croat militia. But the biggest military power is the Serbian army of General Mladic, most of it from his former Yugoslav army based in Serbia. He is a determined Serbian nationalist and a commander so effective that Serbs compare him with Norman Schwarzkopf. So ruthless and deceptive, others compare him with Field Marshal Rommel and Saddam Hussein. His mission has always been to grab as much of Bosnia as possible to make Serbia the dominant power in the area that was once Yugoslavia. More than 140,000 people have been killed in the 16 months of war over values, territory, power, and religion in Bosnia. The majority of the dead has been Muslim, many of them women and children. Most of them died anonymously as the world looked the other way. But tonight, the world is watching and fighting to save the life of one little girl. Correspondent Alan Pizzi reports from Sarajevo.
If she lives, Irma may become Sarajevo's equivalent of the Easter Seal poster child. Gravely wounded by shrapnel that killed her mother, 5-year-old Irma was trapped here. Bureaucracy couldn't process her, and she had no place to go. Her desperate doctor turned to the media. Irma got worldwide coverage, and overnight, red tape disappeared, and she was on her way to England. But only, it seems, because she is a little girl the press made into a cause.
We have people here who need treatment abroad, who've been approved for treatment abroad, but their faces have not appeared on television.
Mario Guberovic is an anonymous victim of leukemia. His only hope is a bone marrow transplant, but he needs $70,000 to pay for it. I am tired of waiting, he says. Mario is 22, past the age of easy compassion.
We have a lot of children places. Everybody wants to take children. There are a lot of donors giving money for children. It is very difficult with adult people.
To qualify for a medical evacuation, a victim must be in a condition that can be significantly improved by treatment elsewhere. It's a tough prerequisite. Shura Choko was hit by a UN vehicle. Sarajevo's only plastic surgeon says under normal conditions, he could save her leg. She wants to be evacuated, but only with her husband. Frontline action turned him into a paraplegic, and paraplegics don't qualify for evacuation. The committee of 4 sets the rules.
For people to play God, but sometimes, even when they do their best, there just aren't the places for these people to be sent to.
The bureaucrats say there has to be a vetting system or they'd be overwhelmed with requests for medical evacuation. Tens of thousands have been wounded in this city, and what they really need is more people on the outside who care. There were plenty of those on hand when Irma arrived in London tonight, her best and last chance. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Sarajevo.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, another international trouble spot. 4 American soldiers killed in Somalia. Will the U.S. retaliate? And floodwaters are receding in the American Midwest, but fears are rising about what may be left behind.
Last week really scared me. My dad's stomach was really bad, but he wouldn't admit it. He has this thing about doctors. I was afraid he had an ulcer. And you know what? The doctor said Mylanta. It was indigestion, the kind that needs really strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. It's the antacid doctors recommend most.
The doctor said Mylanta.
Also available in tablets and now gel caps.
Every second of an asthma attack can feel like an eternity. That's why there's Primatene Mist. Primatene opens clogged breathing tubes fast when speed counts. Primatene Mist, fastest type asthma relief without a prescription.
Why is Tux medicated pads the brand of hemorrhoid relief hospitals trust most? Because when hemorrhoids flare up, Tux provides soothing, cooling relief on contact. Tux, the brand hospitals trust most.
Another battle is shaping up between President Clinton and Western ranchers. The Interior Department today proposed an increase in the fee ranchers pay for grazing their livestock on federal land. Unless Congress steps in, the fees, considered low by other cattlemen elsewhere, would more than double over 3 years. Interior Secretary Bruce Babbitt calls it, quote, a reasonable balance between the ranchers and the environment, though many Western senators are expected to oppose this fee hike. In the Midwest, finally some good news about the flooding. The rivers are receding now throughout the flood area, and the floodwaters are drying up, slowly but hopefully surely. As the water recedes, fear of flooding is giving way to a new fear about a potential health risk. Those floodwaters may have churned up dangerous materials buried long ago. Correspondent Sandra Hughes has the story from southern Illinois.
Many memories got wiped out there.
For farmers like Barry Biber and Hank Marquardt, the worst of the damage from the flood of '93 can't be seen yet. Invisible toxins possibly floating through their homes and onto their land.
I mean, it might not be something show up today or tomorrow, but next year or 10 years from now, it'd be in the ground and in the wood and everything else.
Just north of their farms, a toxic dump, which environmentalists call one of the most contaminated in Illinois, is flooded.
This is potentially dangerous, is it not?
Yeah, I have to say it's potentially dangerous.
The danger lies underneath the old dumping site where Monsanto Company legally disposed of highly toxic waste back in the 1950s, right in the middle of a floodplain, which was also legal at the time.
The water that is saturated in the ground and in this landfill will just percolate out and towards the river.
Monsanto officials say they have concluded there is no human health risk, but admit they haven't taken samples to prove that.
So if there isn't any way to get accurate testing around there, you really don't know at this point whether there's a human health risk?
We, by looking at the structure, it is clear that there has been no massive breach of the system.
The Environmental Protection Agency says there could be as many as 59 hazardous material sites within the entire flood region which are leaking toxins, and that number may increase. Until the waters recede and soil and water samples are taken, flood victims will have little to relieve their fears that the toxins the river may leave in the ground and throughout their houses could keep them from ever returning home. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Sauget, Illinois.
Stay with us for much more CBS Evening News, including Eye on America. Tonight, shrinking unions, striking workers facing no paycheck and no job.
Everybody needs some money sometime. Everybody needs some cash sometime.
When you need money fast. Hello, Sue. Remember Western Union. We send more money to more people in more places than anyone else. In minutes. Thanks.
Something in my heart just told me my sometime is now.
Western Union. The fastest way to send money.
I'm a 35-year-old woman who loves Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. This is my story. I knew it was for kids, so I had an arrangement with the stock boy at the market. I'd pay for it, and when the coast was clear, he'd hand over the box, and that frosted crunch would be mine. All mine. Of course, it's all behind me now. They deliver.
There's no disguising it. Frosted Flakes have the taste adults have grown to love. They're great.
My baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Yeah, I love to eat it every day. And if you ask me why, I'll say...
You could give your kids a bologna made from less than 100% pure beef or one with fillers. The question is, why would you?
'Cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-A.
They're on the march. Will they bring their war to your neighborhood?
Let the babies go!
Choosing Sides, an all-new 48 Hours, Wednesday.
President Clinton and his aides are once again reassessing the U.S. military role under the UN in Somalia. This follows the worst attack yet on U.S. troops in the UN peacekeeping force. National Security Correspondent David Martin has a report.
American soldiers in Somalia could do little more than hunker down while the Clinton administration pondered what, if anything, to do about yesterday's detonation of a landmine, which left 4 U.S. soldiers dead.
In light of the incident the other day, we'll be showing greater care. We will have to undertake some more security operations, and obviously we are interested in going after any of those who are responsible for the incident if we can find out who they are.
There is little doubt in anyone's mind that those responsible work for Mohammed Adi, the renegade warlord who was battling the UN for control of Mogadishu, turning what began as a rescue mission into urban guerrilla warfare.
Despite the threat posed by Adid, a senior administration official says there are no plans to send in additional U.S. forces to take care of him once and for all. Capturing or killing Adid, this official said, would not solve the problem of rebuilding a nation.
For the moment, Somalis are no longer threatened with mass starvation. The local harvest has been so good that emergency food deliveries are expected to end this month. But if the UN peacekeeping force were to pull out of Somalia, warlords like Adid would quickly take over and hunger would return.
They are about the business of saving lives in Somalia. And if individual clans or elements of clans can sporadically interrupt that effort, then we'll be right back to where we were when we saw pictures of hundreds of thousands of innocents dying as a result of starvation or malnutrition.
U.S. officials now concede they began pulling American troops out of Somalia before the UN was ready to take over the job of keeping the peace. The U.S. had hoped to have all its combat forces out of Somalia by the end of the summer, but it now looks as though there is no quick and honorable way out. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Officials in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia are investigating the assassination of a U.S. diplomat. 45-year-old Fred Woodruff was shot to death last night by an unknown gunman who fired into his car. The U.S. Embassy in Georgia says Woodruff was a political counselor on temporary assignment. Now, from around the world, more CBS News. In the U.S. territory of Guam, officials say damage from this weekend's powerful earthquake may surpass that caused by last year's typhoon. 5 big tourist hotels on the Pacific island will probably have to be torn down. In Caracas, Venezuela, the death toll from Tropical Storm Brett is at least 150. Most died in Venezuelan shanty towns that were buried under crushing mudslides. In the Sarasota baby swap trial, a court-appointed psychologist testified today that Kimberly Mays' biological mother puts her own needs first. The psychologist supports Kimberly's wish to be divorced from her biological parents. In Los Angeles, reputed Madam to the Stars, Heidi Fleiss, was mobbed by photographers at her arraignment. She was freed on $100,000 bail after pleading not guilty to charges of running a big-time Hollywood call girl ring. Well, Hollywood is coming off another big weekend at the box office, and movie makers are looking forward to a very happy ending this year, the kind with record profits. For that, Bill Lagatuda reports they can thank the red-hot summer of '93.
At the Liberty Theater in Little Wenatchee, Washington, they haven't had a summer like this in a long, long time.
We love to see the crowds. We like to see long lines.
Yeah, we're going more often.
This weekend in Wenatchee and everywhere in America, people seem to be running to the movies to see The Fugitive. It had the biggest grossing weekend ever for an August.
When movies are good and people enjoy going to movies, they go to more movies.
The Dinosaurs got summer off to a roaring start, and if things continue this way, the summer of '93 may surpass the summer of '89, the year of Batman.
After a lull, Hollywood actually gets its act together and makes better movies.
Not just better movies, but more PG movies, fewer of the violent, death-a-minute kinds of pictures. Remember, for example, The Last Action Hero? No one in Hollywood thought Arnold could ever bomb this big. The days of the shoot-'em-up, blow-'em-up picture may be numbered.
I hate when it happens.
This summer, Americans seem in the mood for love, intrigue, lawyer bashing.
I guess people are tired of the recession. They're going to the movies again just to forget their troubles.
Hollywood loves to talk about itself, and this summer the industry is saying the movies got intelligent. Then again,
I just work here. I'm an actor. If I knew anything, I wouldn't be an actor.
So far, ticket sales are up more than 28% over last year. If the trend holds, this could be the biggest movie year ever. Bill Lagatuda, CBS News, Hollywood.
anyone can remember, the Roadmaster name has graced only automobiles of great strength and security. Buick Roadmaster for 1993 is no exception. Consider, for example, the protection of Roadmaster's full perimeter frame. Its V8 power, anti-lock brakes, and driver airbag. Buick Roadmaster, perhaps the world's best value in a traditional luxury car.
This is my Dirt Devil Upright Plus and my Upright Plus XF. Both have plenty of power and loads of accessories. So why two models? One's a hardtop and one is a convertible. Drive home a Dirt Devil Upright.
You know, I can still remember the very first candy given to me by my grandfather. It was Werther's Original, and I was 4. I had a little trouble opening that shiny golden wrapper, but then, well, I'll never forget that first taste. Sweet and creamy and just plain good. But there was something else, too. I remember feeling I must be somebody very special when my grandpa gave me his wonderful butter candy. So, now I'm the grandfather. And what else would I give my little grandson but my Werther's Original? He's somebody special, too.
How to know if you're having a heart attack or not. A new way to check the pain. And On Location with Billy Joel tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
12 years ago this month, the U.S. Union labor movement reached a low point and a turning point when President Reagan fired and then outright replaced thousands of striking air traffic controllers. Well, now, President Clinton is thinking about reinstating those controllers, and Congress is debating a bill that would ban employers from hiring permanent replacements for strikers. John Blackstone takes a closer look in tonight's Eye on America.
Boycott! Diamond Woman! Boycott! Diamond Woman! Boycott!
Tony Escobedo, forklift driver, 23 seasons I've been in there.
Boycott! Diamond Woman! Boycott!
Barbara Allison, 18 years, quality control technician and a supervisor.
The people, united, will never be defeated.
Glenda Benningfield, 12 years, I was a checker.
All those years packing walnuts didn't mean a thing when these workers went on strike.
We help the company out, and this is what they do in return.
In the 80s, when times were tough, they helped keep the company going, agreed to wage cuts as much as 40%.
The workers' sacrifice helped the company make an impressive turnaround. In its annual report for 1991, Diamond Walnut brags of making its biggest profits in 80 years. But when almost none of those profits went back into the workers' wages, the union called a strike.
It was just like they just don't care about us anymore.
We built the plant, we made the plant, we grew up with the plant. We were young women when we went in. We're all grandmothers.
When these grandmothers walked out, though, the company said goodbye for good. It hired new workers to replace them permanently.
We had to offer people more than temporary employment in order for them to come in here and do the kind of job that they did for us and to get the workers that we needed.
That was 2 years ago.
Why don't you just give this up and
go
work somewhere else?
No, because these companies have got to quit doing this to people.
In strikes from coast to coast, it's become a measure of diminished union power.
Ain't gonna take no more!
Increasingly, companies don't bargain, they replace.
We marched with girls across the country at different strike lines.
Go on, fine, go on.
You know, it's the same story.
The strikers from Diamond Walnut have joined in a national campaign to change the law. And there is legislation before Congress now that would ban permanent replacement. But management is campaigning too.
This bill is going to do nothing but encourage a lot of very unreasonable and ill-considered strikes.
Business executives have been in Washington in force.
My name is Marilyn Marks. I'm president and CEO of Dorsey Trailers.
She is convinced her Alabama workers would have voted to strike this spring, bankrupting the company, if they didn't fear losing their jobs to permanent replacements.
Management needs to retain the right to operate and protect its business from economic ruin during a strike.
And powerful forces are lined up against the bill.
I just hope the unions understand that we'll defend their right to strike, but we'll defend employers' right to have replacement workers, permanent workers if necessary.
The nation says to workers, you have a right to strike and you cannot be fired for exercising that right. And the employer says, right, you can't be fired, but you can be permanently replaced, and you will be.
It has been a threat to strikers ever since President Reagan replaced every one of the nation's air traffic controllers.
Replacing workers on the picket line became not simply a legal right, it became a way of doing business.
Employers say the threat of replacing workers simply discourages unions from making unreasonable demands. But on the picket line at Diamond Walnut, they say it's just a way to get rid of unions.
Oh, it makes me mad. If we don't earn any money, we can't spend any money. And pretty soon we snowball to pitiful poor and super rich. And you can't do that in America.
But right now in America, labor relations is the only game where the rule book says one strike and you're out. In Stockton, California, this is John Blackstone for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Coming up on CBS This Morning tomorrow, important news about a test that could save your life. It lets your doctor know if you've had a heart attack. Join Harry Smith and Paul Azan tomorrow for that story and all the latest news. For Connie Chung and all of us here at the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Thanks for joining us. Good night.